If everyone around you is reckless with their money, but then you don't spend your money, it may call you cheap. But meanwhile, you're just saving and investing for your goals. Whereas if you're around people who save their money, if you're around people who invest their money, who don't spend recklessly, then you feel responsible right with them. You're around a bunch of people who tolerate cheating and chaos. They may look at you like, oh, that's just something you have to deal with. Or maybe you're around healthy people and then they're like, no, that's not okay. Our environments change our perspectives on things. So spiritually, when you're trying to be a pure version of yourself, the environments you're in shape your thoughts around your habits. For example, when you're reading your Bible, when you're no longer smoking or having sex out of marriage, when you're not drinking and clubbing every weekend, when you're not lying, you want to go to church on Sundays instead of brunch, you have something to do Wednesday night, you have Bible study Wednesday night instead of hanging out. Is your environment going to support that or is it going to hinder it? A lot of people are trapped in dysfunction because their environment normalized it. And it's very, very, very important to get different perspectives. And it's very, very important to either isolate or to put yourself in the right environments. You need to have the most amount of support that you can for that. And sometimes that does mean isolation. Nobody in your family may have done the things that you're trying to do. And that's where you have to break the cycles. You have to break the chains. Maybe everybody before you was in abusive relationships. Your mom was in an abusive relationship, so that's what you take. And your grandma and grandpa did it, and they did it before them, and it goes on and on and on. Or maybe your parents weren't good with money, then their parents weren't good with money. Or same thing with obesity, health issues. They were obese, didn't really take care of their health, And it's just like, stuff like this, like all of these things go on for a generation. Like you have to be the person to put an end to it. Like whatever it is, you have to be that person to put an end to it. Not only for you, but for your future children. And maybe you don't want to have children, but for yourself at least. Like we get one life, literally one life. Like break those chains. I don't know what's in your family. I don't know what's in your blood. I don't know what generational curses that you have. I don't know what it is. But you have one life. You need to break those chains. You don't want to live in bondage. You don't want to be held captive by the things that your parents were held captive by. You want to be held captive by what your grandparents were held captive by. All of the previous generations have had this issue. It stops with you. It stops with you. You have to be serious about your life. It is very easy to roll over in comfort. Maybe it's not even comfortable. It's just what you're used to. I want you to know that you can do different. Just because it doesn't look like what everyone else is doing doesn't mean that you're wrong. Matthew 7:13-14 says, "Enter by the narrow gate. For wide is the gate and broad is the way that leads to destruction." Jesus is literally saying that the path of obedience, holiness, and surrender is not crowded. If you choose it, it's much easier to go broad path, the way that everyone else is going. But that's not for you. You being rare or alone is actually evidence that you're on the right road. You have to stand on your values. You have to do what's right in God's eyes. Break those curses. Don't do what everybody else did. If you know it's not right in God's eyes, you shouldn't be doing it. You should be seeking first the kingdom and his righteousness. That's it. Romans 12:2. "Do not be conformed to this world, but by the renewing of your mind." The world goes one direction. You being pulled by God, wanting to go towards God and righteousness, that's a whole different direction. Also, people pleasers, you're going to have to go to therapy. You're going to have to talk to God. You're going to have to understand. Putting people over God is idolizing people. It's not okay. Gotta let that go. It's okay to feel like you're different. And believe me when I say I have gone through the season of being estranged because I just couldn't relate to people. There were people that I was around. They weren't bad people, but they didn't understand what I was trying to do. And surrounding yourself with people who don't understand you is more lonely than being alone. Holiness, wanting to do what's right in God's eyes, will set you apart from the world. It's all in the Bible. It tells you that over and over and over again. Obedience to God will make you stand out. And just because everyone isn't doing what you're doing does not mean you're wrong. And just because you're not doing what everyone else is doing doesn't mean that you're wrong. Going towards that righteous path does not mean that you're in the wrong place, even if other people don't understand it, and even if your environment and those connections that you have are not conducive to that. What is easier though is building an environment that helps you in this walk. Even if for a short season you're by yourself, being alone and being close to God is not the worst place you can be. Being surrounded by people but being far from God is much, much worse.